don't know what to say, but just saying you care about them, I think is huge.
It's just
Sometimes.
that just being thought of aspect of it.
Mhm.
And that even though it's like, let's say it's in like a text message, I mean, I know like if I'm super stressed out at work, every text message
Mhm.
is intrusive for me because
Yeah,
I'm like trying
yeah,
to just get through what I'm going through. But as far as things go, it's you're not necessarily showing up on their doorstep. You're not really
right,
overextending. You're just saying like sending a quick text message, sending a quick email, whatever the method,
right, right.
Telegram actually would be intrusive. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. I don't know that anybody would really appreciate that.
Mm,
But it's something like that, like a text message or an email or
yeah,
whatever. That's a non-intrusive way to offer visibility to people who are going through the stuff that they're going
yeah,
through. And I think that that's one of the most important things that we can do is just acknowledge it and be like, I don't know what you're going through, but I know you're going through it, and I want you
yeah,
to know that I'm here. I'm on the periphery,
yeah.
whatever. That really does, it
Yeah.
speaks volumes. It does.
A friend of mine lost her husband. She'd known him. I think they met, she was like 7. They were kids. And then throughout their lives, like, they kind of crossed paths and then finally got
Yeah.
married and were together. And he died suddenly. He died of a
Mhm.
heart attack. And what I used to do is I would send her a text and I'd be like, "Hey, you don't have to answer me. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you I love you and I'm thinking of you. Here's a heart. Just say," and sometimes she would answer me and
Yeah.
sometimes she'd just send a heart back, and but I wanted her to know I was thinking of her because I haven't had that loss. But I
Yeah.
know she was struggling, and I was like, "Girl, I'm here for you if you need it." Like, a couple of times she was like, "Hey, can we get on the phone?" We got on the phone.
Mhm.
But I would send her just a little like, "Hey, thinking of you, send you a little purple heart," like, because sometimes she didn't want to talk, and I appreciated that, but I wanted her to know I was thinking of her.
Yeah, and I like
Yeah.
that too. I really like the approach there of you don't need to respond to this.
Nope.
I mean, the pressure that just it just melts off.
Hmm.
If you're in something and you're like, I love that I'm being thought about right now, I
Hmm.
can't handle the thought that
Yeah.
I'm obliged to engage with anybody because I can't do it. Like, even though it's Mary and I love her and I love
Yeah.
that she's thinking about me, I can't conceive, like,
No.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice way to like to put that. I think that kind of almost lets people
Yeah.
off the hook, right? Because when
Yeah.
you're going through stuff like a lot of people, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people, what you do is you just blanket therapy. You just
Yeah.
borrow and just like tuck
Yeah.
away, and it's
Yeah.
that's safety, that's the
Hmm.
comfort zone. And when people start reaching out to you at a time like that, one of the most difficult things you can do is pick up the phone and try to respond, certainly in a
Hmm.
meaningful way. And I think that by saying like, hey, you do not need to respond to this, I just needed you to
Hmm.
know that I'm thinking about you, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple
That's
gesture.
that's it.
Think about how
Yeah.
easy that is just to
Hmm.
do that, and the
Yeah.
weight that could be lifted off the shoulders of the person who's deep in the stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's little things I think you can
Yeah.
do. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And they're not big. Like, they're not. I mean, how many text messages do you send a day? Right? It's
Right.
it's just click, click,
Yeah.
click, boom, done. Like,
Yeah. It's not like you only
and
get one.
no, right? So I think that's little things can really, like I said, can be big. And I
Yeah.
think people need to feel safe and supported. And I
Right.
think that's a huge thing because, again, you come back. I mean, I see it sometimes. People will say, like, yeah, like someone was asking when I was coming back to work, and it's like, someone really important to them just died.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like,
Right.
the accounting's going to be there tomorrow. Like, come
Right.
on, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? it's
exactly.
it's I think it would be different if we treated this like, and another thing I'm just thinking off, so like when someone gets divorced or they break up,
Hmm.
that's a huge grieving process. As someone who's been through divorce, that's a huge grieving process because the
Yeah.
life you thought you had with someone's now gone,
Right.
and you're
Yeah.
scared and you're trying to build that stuff. So go ahead, what were you
That's
going to say?
that's so huge.
Hmm.
That's so huge for just like where my brain has been at the past couple of days. So,
Yeah.
and this kind of doubles back to something that we were talking about earlier. And you grieve like the person that you were previously, right?
Hmm.
So like let's
Yeah.
say you're in a relationship with somebody for a long time, and that this is why this is huge for me.
Hmm.
You're with somebody for a long time, you don't really know who you are when you're not intertwined with the person. Whether
Right.
it be like in this, it crushes me when I see these cases at work. Of course, I see them all the time.
Mm.
Elderly people who have been together for 60 years, 70 years, like they don't know a world without the other person. My Nana and
Mhm.
Papa, my Papa was the only man that my Nana had ever even dated, let alone been with. She never was with another man her entire
Mhm.
life. Like I see that a
Yeah.
lot, and you find the way that like your life gets intertwined with the person who you were with. Sometimes for better, sometimes for not.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
my case, it was not. So I know that I talked about you obviously I talk about disenfranchised grief a lot, and
Yeah.
I got a thing for it. I do. Uh
Well,
it's my
because it's
shit.
big.
Shit. I love it. It's such a good
Yeah.
umbrella. It encapsulates so much.
Mhm.
And disenfranchised grief, like that was my experience with that, was the relationship aspect of it, but not someone who died. Mine
Yeah.
was somebody that I was involved with for a very long time. It was super toxic. We were horrible for each other, two-way street there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't really understand like that I was grieving after that. I didn't understand like what that whole thing was. I didn't have a name for it. But when it
Yeah.
comes to like divorcing, ending relationships, say you and your best friend wind up in
Yep.
irreconcilable difference land for whatever
Hmm.
reason and you lose your best friend. Like these are things that you grieve, and that person
Yeah.
is still out there. You just need
Right.
to adjust to your world without it. And that
Mm.
is such a challenging thing to do. It's such a challenging place to be, to know that
Right.
the person is still out there and just to be like, okay, so not only do I need to figure out who I am without the person who I just spent the
Hmm.
last 10 years of my life with, or
Hmm.
my best friend who I've known since kindergarten, whatever. But I
Hmm.
also need to like, yeah, it's a lot. And,
It.
and that realm right there, that's what just hook, line, and sinker had me in disenfranchised grief because that was the first
Mhm.
time that something made sense to me. And it was the first time when I
Yeah.
started studying that, I started writing about it. That was the first time that I was just kind of like, that's the language. Like that's the one I understand. I can
Yeah.
get through topics about anticipatory grief. I happen to really fancy that one too. Um,
Yeah.
but I can talk about prolonged grief disorder. I can talk about masked grief, delayed grief,
Hmm.
all of those things. But the ones that actually spoke to me, disenfranchised grief, for the context that what you just said, and
Yeah.
what I have been through. Like that was the one that like pulled me in, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't have a name for that thing, and I do now, and it
Hmm.
now it suddenly makes sense.
Right. Right. Well, I can speak to two things you said. One is that, when my dad passed away,
Mhm.
my mom, she dated one guy for a couple of years before him, but she met him when she was 16
Okay.
and they were together 60 years. They were married 57.
Yep.
And her life, she didn't, she ate dinner with him every night, then he was gone.
Hmm.
They went and they walked at the mall together when the mall was like kind of the thing,
Mall walking. Yeah.
like mall walking. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gone. Like, so she really lost this big part of her life,
Yeah.
and her trying to figure out. I have to say, mom has done, she's been through a lot since he's been gone, and she's been hanging in, but she's, there's still that part of her that he left and a big chunk of her went with
Yeah.
him. And I admire her for staying strong as much as she
Mhm.
has, but it's not been an easy road for her. You're right. It's they don't know who they are as,
Right.
you know, they know themselves as the partner,
Yeah,
right? So you have
exactly.
that. And as someone on the outside trying to look in on it, like I will never have that experience of being married or with someone that long.
Yeah.
So, I just would used to try to say to mom, like, talk about him, like keep talking about him because it's making you happy to talk about him.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
try not to talk so much about the funeral. Talk about, like,
Right.
when dad and we used to go to the baseball games, or he was doing like, something silly out in the backyard. Like I try to pull her back to some of those times
Right.
because, I think if you sit and you think about the funeral and the death process and all that over and over, and I understand she had to process it. And
Hmm.
I'm no therapist, I'm just
Yeah.
her kid. But I would try to say to her, like, let's think of dad when he was healthy
Right.
and he was sassy, and those things to try to help her with
Yeah.
with the whole idea. But it was, she still talks about him, and we all still talk about him every day. And I'd like to think we've got to a place where we talk and we can laugh about him a little bit better
Yeah.
than we could,
Yeah.
you know and
It
then the
takes
other
time.
piece is, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of that with divorce and stuff, like, it's been, as someone who's been through two
Hmm.
divorces, it is trying to figure out, like, your friends shift, because
Right.
sometimes you had, the same friends. Like my first marriage, he was my college sweetheart, so it was
Right.
all our call. They didn't know what to do, and I was like, guys, like, I listen, let's all be friends if we can. If you're gonna pick sides, you're gonna pick sides. There's
Yeah.
nothing I can do about that. But it was weird because, like, people didn't know which side, and I was like, you don't have to pick a side. I
Right.
got no problem. Don't pick a side.
Yeah.
That was, we were together 6 years. My second marriage, we were together 15.
Hmm.
And that was more a part of my life of,
Hmm.
doing things together, and it does take a minute to, like, step back and say, like, oh, then you got to say to people, like, oh yeah, no, I'm divorced.
Right.
Oh, what happened? It just didn't work out. I mean, things don't work out sometimes, but
Yeah.
you have to go through all that. Like, do I tell people? Do I?
Yeah.
No, they're gonna invite me to a wedding, and they're not gonna give me a plus one. Like, you
Right.
got all these weird things in your head. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
coupled anymore. It's weird. It's like, and it takes some time to. If I think, again, this is opinion, guys, right? But I think if you take some time to be alone
Yeah.
and figure out your stuff, instead of, I know a lot of people who try to jump right into something else, even like after
Mhm.
someone's passed, like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, like, you need a minute. Like, you really need a minute to figure out
Right.
who you are, what's in your heart, how you want to be from here on out, things that maybe you want to change, that you could change, or things like you want to grow. Like, you really need a minute to kind of separate yourself from whatever that
Yeah.
situation was.
Yeah.
And if you don't see the thing, we've talked about this too, like, grief doesn't go away. It's like,
Right.
I'll just wait over here.
Yeah.
I'll
It's
just
on
wait.
layaway.
It's like, I got plenty of time. That's what I got, plenty. I'm just going to be over here in the corner, and
Right.
I'm going to be the big pink elephant in the room. And
Right.
so you're going to have to deal with it at some point anyway.
Yeah.
Um, when you're
Yeah.
ready for it to deal with it, you're ready to deal with it. But yeah, just not dealing with it and jumping into something new, it's not always the best thing,
No,
because
it's not at
you're
all.
not,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like you were saying, like it's so important for us to deconstruct and to like even when it comes to like relationships, do the post-mortem and do a thorough one because chances are if it's someone that you really care all that much that you just broke up with or that, the relationship dissolved,
Yeah.
more than your Facebook relationship status is about to change. So
Yeah.
it's important for you to do that post-mortem deconstruction in those
Hmm.
relationships that you have with these people to try to figure out which parts were us, which parts were me. How
Hmm.
do I carry me forward without us?
Hmm.
And
Right.
there's and
Right.
it takes time. It does. And it's
Hmm.
you know it's funny when you were talking about your high school sweetheart and that kind of like choosing sides. I see
Yeah.
this from a funeral perspective too, at services, pretty often that
Yeah.
sides do get chosen if there was like a fiance or a husband that someone didn't like
Hmm.
or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Some people want the
Hmm.
dog and hate the husband and
Right.
it's
It's
like
true. No,
all
it's
like
true. It
the
gets real
really
complicated.
normal human stuff. And
Yeah.
you made me think about Ari, our friend Ari. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I think about all the time is she had told me one of her favorite lines in a Tori Amos song was from Tear in Your Hand, and it's Neil says hi, by the way. And I never thought anything by that. She was talking about Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
And what I didn't understand about it, and it wasn't until Ari put it this way, and I've ever since like really just started to frame things in this context. She's like, when you break up with somebody, like you don't realize that like your world kind of splits in two, and then it's like this person was my friend before we were in a relationship, so they're my
Right.
friend now. Like that delineation does happen. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's funny, like when we are just kind of talking about like putting grief off, and I had said like, oh, it's like putting it on layaway. So when I was
Yeah.
growing up, I grew up really poor, and my mom would do like these like Marshalls layaway things
Yeah.
like all summer for like our school stuff leading up to it, because then she had time to like make sure,
Hmm.
she could still get it, but she didn't have any money for it ever. She didn't have money for it on the day of either, but she did
Yeah.
have money for it like as we were going. And
Mm.
she just kind of like kept adding to it. It didn't make the debt go away. It didn't make the pile get smaller. It didn't make
Mm.
anything more attainable for us. It just meant that you were adding to it. So this is
Yeah.
something that I see a lot and something that I do a lot.
Hmm.
And I think that it's like a really it's human BS that we
Yeah.
do it, but we carry our unprocessed and unresolved stuff with us into every new thing. So let's say you're somebody who just experienced 9 losses over the course of a week. With
It's a
each
lot.
new loss, you're carrying in the weight of the previous loss too.
Right.
All of those things are coming with you. Like the longer that they go unresolved, the more it goes
Yeah.
into this layaway process where it's just like, okay, I don't have time to deal with the loss of my cat right now because I just lost my best friend. So now we've got a cat and a best friend. I don't have
Right.
time now to think about the cat and the best friend because I also just lost my favorite uncle. So now that's
Right.
put on there, and it just is
Right.
adding and adding and adding, and
Hmm.
there's no subtraction. So this is
No.
why that emotional like deconstruction is so important because those things like try as we might to separate those things and to try to have like that separation of church and state and what we're
Yeah.
thinking, it doesn't exist if we don't actually
No.
do the work to chip away at that. We do it with relationships. Like I have a lot of baggage that I brought into my marriage with my husband now. I say that as if I had another one. I never had another one, but I don't think I
Yeah, I'm
ever
the
had
one with the
another one.
multiple
I don't
husbands,
know.
not you.
I had a past. I don't know. I don't think I ever
Yeah.
had another one. I'm pretty sure he's the only one. Sorry,
Good for
babe.
you.
Sorry, baby. Um, so, but I brought like even from like that kind of that non-death relationship that I was mentioning a little while ago, I
Yeah.
brought a lot of that trauma into this with me and a lot of those like feelings of self-doubt and self-loathing. A lot of that went into this relationship.
Yeah.
Um, by no fault of his own, it's just
No.
I never took the time to do the relationship postmortem to try
Yeah.
to deconstruct all of that. And there was a lot of it too. And I also wasn't sober for most of it. So
Yeah.
it's just like phew, lot
Yeah.
happened in there. But it is the same thing. You know, we carry all of that wreckage of the past forward with us,
Yep.
which I am confident is something that you will hear that phrase so often at work, wreckage of the
Yeah.
past, because addicts
Wreckage of the past.
love talking about it
For
because
more
that's what
information
we
on my services and to book your free consultation, visit theadjustmentphase.com. Let me know what you think in the comments and follow along for more.